Welcome back to our gym challenge, Premier Challenge, at Psycho Turtle in Pico Rivera, California. I'm Dennis, that's Bidoof and Bidoof. I spent a really long time this morning trying to figure out like a shade of green for my shirt that wouldn't blend into the green screen behind me. Because I was really worried I just looked transparent in the center. We're going to get into our round number 2 matchup. Shane Gaffney and Alexis Harrison, both at 1-0 on the day. We've got Shane with that priority spam-ish team. Not totally priority spam, but a little bit of that priority with the King Gambit, Chen Pao, Urshifu Rapid Strike, Ogerpon Hearthflame, Amoonguss, and Raging Bolt. Alexis with that special damage, high speed, hyper offensive team with the Glimora, Urshifu Single Strike, Fluttermane, Tornadus Incarnate, Ogerpon Wellspring, and Chiyu. Some of the early synergies on Shane's side, obviously both the Chen Pao and the Raging Bolt and the King Gambit actually all have priority moves on attack. Those Sucker Punches from the Dark types and the Thunderclap from the Raging Bolt. Amoonguss with the Rage Powder, not a ton of ways to ignore that. Well, the Glimora is actually Terra Grass. So is the Urshifu Rapid Strike actually on Shane's side. Not the Terra Water, the Terra Grass. The Ogerpon Hearthflame able to do a bit more physical damage. A lot of physical damage on Shane's side with just the one Raging Bolt, and then a lot of special damage on Alexis' side with just the Ogerpon and the Urshifu. I wasn't looking at the screen. We're about to get underway. Our leads are going to be from Alexis, it's the Fluttermane and the Ogerpon, and on Shane's side, it's the Urshifu and the King Gambit. Fluttermane with the booster speed. Ogerpon's name in Japanese is the same. I was doing some light translation work on some notes from Japanese here. Ogerpon's name is just Ogerpon. I think Fluttermane's name is also just Fluttermane in Japanese. There's your Japanese lesson for the day. Their names are the same, it's fine. Urshifu King Gambit on Shane's side. Not threatening a ton of damage, especially with Ogerpon Wellspring here. You kind of have to potentially try to U-turn out of that matchup for the Urshifu, especially with that Fluttermane threatening a lot of damage. Although the Fluttermane is in, you know, a tiny bit of damage, or a tiny bit of danger from a King Gambit Iron Head. This is a turn 1 Terra from Shane, I believe. No switch outs. It's going to be the Urshifu Terra Grass. So it will still get redirected by Follow Me, but it's Terra Grass now, and that's important. It means it won't be hit as hard by Dazzling Gleam, as you see there. It wouldn't have been knocked out anyway. U-turns out of there on the Ogerpon. About half the HP there. And the Amoonguss swap in now. Amoonguss the early riser. And it's going to be Horn Leech into the Amoonguss. That, no Rocky Helmet, so not going to do damage back to the Ogerpon, but not going to do much damage at all. The Kowtow Cleave, actually, into the Ogerpon, going to pick up the KO. So not going to do anything to that Fluttermane turn 1, but going to get rid of the Ogerpon, which sets up Urshifu in a great spot later on. We'll see Chiyu come in now, which, there's the funny damage fish. Chiyu with the choice specs. Got that Beads of Ruin to boost the damage of both these Pokemon. Heat Wave, Overheat, Dark Pulse, Snarl. Heat Wave will be super effective against both these Pokemon. Actually be super effective against, like, all the Pokemon remaining. We'll see the Terra as well here. On to the Fluttermane. Terra Fairy. Classic Terra Fairy Fluttermane. Always liking to see that one. King Gambit will protect. Fluttermane will Dazzling Gleam, boost the damage just a touch. Won't do too much to that Amoonguss. Ooh. Surprising amount to the Amoonguss, actually. And the Heat Wave, hold for connecting on the Amoonguss. Does connect. And does pick up the knockout. No Citrus Berry able to activate from the Amoonguss. Going to get knocked out. Now this is actually a little bit dangerous of a situation to be in for Shane. You have one Pokemon that's weak to Fairy and two Pokemon weak to Fire. That Fluttermane can dictate the speed matchups here. Even if Urshifu comes back in, it might be forced to Aqua Jet, because an Icy Wind will make it slower than the Chi-Yu, I believe. The Chi-Yu. I'd have to look for potentially a Heat Wave Miss or something along those lines. Dangerous spot to be in for Shane. How much damage that Chi-Yu is able to get done. Does an Urshifu Aqua Jet take down the Chi-Yu? I remember back in Regulation C, I believe, one of the fun calcs was that a Terra Water Zero form Palafin Jet Punch actually took down a Chi-Yu from full health. And we will see the Aqua Jet. We'll do less than half to the Chi-Yu. And give it Sucker Punch on top of it, not going to pick up the knockout. You can see Shane, ooh, even with the critical hit. And now we're going to see the Icy Wind Heat Wave. Might be reliant on a Heat Wave Mist here for Shane. Kingamit's bulky. It is Black Glasses, but it is bulky. Let's have Defiant, boost its attack off that. Heat Wave connects into both, picks up both KOs, and now just one lone Pokemon remaining, which should not be enough to overcome the special damage onslaught. It's Raging Bolt. Raging Bolt's the last one. I saw it on the thing. And Raging Bolt will come in now. Not much it can do here. It will get hit really hard by Moonblast. I don't think that Thunderclap will be able to knock it out. I think that's the only way out for Shane Gaffney is some kind of crit Thunderclap that also does like 1 billion damage. It does not do anywhere near enough damage. And Moonblast should be, wow, enough to knock out the Raging Bolt from full. We are always reminded of how good Fluttermane is. Alexis with Game 1 victory. Nicely played by Alexis. Even losing the Ogerpon early just meant that Chi-Yu was able to come in for free with a full HP Fluttermane. And kind of just meant that it was launching damage, and that's the problem with this Terra Grass or Shifu. I'm kind of surprised that it did Terra Grass so early, given that it was switching out anyways. I guess it got hit less hard by the Dazzling Gleam, but it wasn't going to be knocked out by the Dazzling Gleam. So I wonder if Shane in game number 2 will go for something a little bit different, because knowing that Dazzling Gleam would not have knocked out. Potentially going to try to keep that Terra available for something like the Raging Bolt or the Amoonguss. Try to make it a little bit more resistant, or just going for a different team altogether. Many options, much to think about. Take a drink of water. Sorry, the two Bidoofs aren't very talkative, so sometimes I have to drink water to get through my, get through the commentary. Drink water. Do it home. Alexis locked in here for game number 2. Both these players at 1-0 in round number 2. Getting to 2-0 this early would be a very good sign of being able to get into Top Cut today. It's a Premier Challenge. We have an MSS on the 30th. Be sure to be there for that. That is not next Saturday, but the Saturday after. Next Saturday is Vancouver. Many of these players will be at Vancouver. It's kind of far. I won't be there. I have a passport now, though, so I could. Or I could have, but I'm not going to. Because it's Vancouver. Anyways, game number 2, we're going to see the Ogerpon Heartflame switch up here for Shane. Same lead for Alexis, and the King Gambit also here. That Ogerpon Heartflame, we have not seen we haven't seen a ton of it. We haven't seen as much of it. The Ogerpon Wellspring has absolutely taken over. It's just a fantastic kind of supportive Pokemon. But this Ogerpon Heartflame, if you're looking for damage, there is not much better in the format. And That Fire-type Ivy Cudgel with a Mold Breaker can certainly cleave through a lot of Pokemon. It also has a Stomping Tantrum, which, remember, with the Mold Breaker, will be able to connect with levitating Pokemon. Not that matters in this matchup. There are no levitating Pokemon in this matchup. No Pokemon levitate. Flutter Mane will protect turn 1. Try to do a little bit of scouting. Shane's Ogerpon will Spiky Shield. It's slower than the Flutter Mane, of course. The Ogerpon on Alexis' side goes into that Spiky Shield. Not going to take damage back because it hits with a Cudgel. It doesn't make contact. And the Kowtow Cleave into the Flutter Mane. Nothing done in turn number 1, but we get to read out what these players are going for just a little bit. See what the Ogerpon speed matchup is. See if I can get a read on that. Can't. I think that Shane's Ogerpon is faster. I'm pretty sure. I'm almost certain that Shane's Ogerpon is faster, which makes sense. Ogerpon Wellspring tends to be quite a bit bulkier. And Ogerpon Hearthflame tends to be like jolly max attack, hit really hard, especially without any utility moves here. Ogerpon's going to get out of there on Alexis' side. We'll bring in the Chi-Yu. The raw Chi-Yu switch in lowers the special defense of all the other Pokemon. We'll see the Terra here. That's got to be the Terra Fairy on the Flutter Mane once again from Alexis. Looking like Regulation E with the Terra Fairy Flutter Manes. Get boost up here. We'll see the Terra on Shane's side as well. Will it be that Terra Fire Ogerpon? It will indeed. Terra Fire Ogerpon Hearthflame. Is it +1 attack, plus all that extra damage on its Fire-type moves? Flutter Mane going for the Moonblast. Going for the Moonblast onto the King Gambit. Not going to pick up the knockout. Does some good damage there. The Horn Leech onto the Chi-Yu. Not going to be that much damage. Nice little read there by Alexis. And the Kowtow Cleave onto the Flutter Mane. Not going to pick up the KO. Critical hit, too, and doesn't get too much damage down. Now, once again, Alexis in a kind of nice spot. Not as good for Chi-Yu this time. Not going to be able to Heat Wave two of the remaining Pokemon. And Flutter Mane in kind of an awkward spot, all things considered. Shane's Ogerpon going to get out of there. We'll bring in the Chen Pao. Another Treasure of Ruin that we get here. So lower defense and special defense on everything. The Sucker Punch picks up the Flutter Mane. Even at half damage, still going to get that done with the Sword of Ruin damage. And Heat Wave, ooh, misses the Chen Pao. That's a disappointment for sure. Not being able to get that Chen Pao down to its Focus Sash. Still going to connect with the King Gambit and finish it off. But that Heat Wave miss is going to really sting in the long term for Alexis trying to get through these last few Pokemon. All the Treasures of Ruin are Dark type. This is the first time I've really considered that. I really didn't notice that before now. Ogerpon coming back in now. From both sides. There's the I like the big mask coming out of the Pokeball. It's that Embody Aspect boost with +1 attack coming back in. Now the question, lots of physical damage to be done here. The Ogerpon Wellspring might be able to knock out the Ogerpon Hearthflame with an Ivy Cudgel here. Chi-Yu obviously will be able to do some big damage as well. Not to the Ogerpon, but definitely to the Chen Pao. Well, the Ogerpon will also do good damage to the Chen Pao. Let's see what decisions are made here. Chen Pao will protect. The Ogerpon Hearthflame goes for the Ivy Cudgel into the Wellspring. Does the Wellspring take this? Neutral hit? No, it does not. One hit knockout. Ring the bell. And that should be probably it for game number 2. as Shane will most likely, Ogerpon takes that hit. Honestly, worse than I thought it would. Chi still does crazy damage all the time. We do have Urshifu in here. It is single strike, so it won't be able to get through that Chen Pao in one turn. And I don't know how much it's going to get done in general. It's also slower than the Ogerpon. I mean, Urshifu's slower than Ogerpon in general, but this one's definitely slower than that Ogerpon. Get the Sacred Sword into the Chi-Yu, finishes off that. And a Ivy Cudgel should bring down the Urshifu to its Focus Sash, as it does there. And a Wicked Blow into the Ogerpon does pick up that knockout. Might be too little too late though, as I don't know what it's going to be able to do against Chen Pao. Or against the Urshifu on the other side with the Choice Scarf. It's faster because it's got a Scarf on. And it's already faster, I think. Base. And barring anything very strange happening, yep, we're going to game number 3. Game number 3 in both of our games so far today. Shane winning game number 2 with a switch up with that Ogerpon Hearthflame lead that Alexis just wasn't too ready for. Saw a couple of spots throughout that battle where Alexis could have gone for something a little different. I think that a change up on potentially harassing the Ogerpon instead of the Fluttermane could have helped a bit, although the Fluttermane ate a Kowtow Cleave, partly because it was Terastallized to Fairy. Was also a crit on the Kowtow Cleave. That could be something that ends up mattering down the line if that crit, depending on how much that crit mattered. We'll see what the choices are this time. We did not see the Amoonguss in game number 2 as we did in game number 1. The same 4 from Alexis. We'll see if it's the same 4 again. No Tornadus. That Tornadus does have Sunny Day. And no Glamora. Classic Power Herb Meteor Beam setup. That Amoonguss Rage Powder won't be able to affect the Ogerpon Wellspring until it Terastallizes, and won't affect the Glamora if it Terastallizes. I also didn't see the Raging Bolt in the last one. We got the Chen Pao and the Earthflame Ogerpon over the Raging Bolt and the Amoonguss. So Shane changing up things quite a bit in game number 2, and it certainly paid off. See if Alexis can turn things around now. Hey, it's Latias. I haven't seen a lot of Latias lately. Tornadus Glamora, the 2 Pokemon we had not seen from Alexis, going to be the lead this time. On the other end, it's Chen Pao Urshifu. Tons of physical damage there with that Sword of Ruin and, you know, just Urshifu's whole deal. What will be the choice here? Tornadus can go for an early Tailwind to allow Glamora to launch out a Meteor Beam. How much would a Meteor Beam do, though? Probably gets knocked out and returned by an Urshifu, and probably it can only bring the Chen Pao down to the Focus Sash. Won't do too much right now. And Glamora definitely going to be a bit slower than these Pokemon naturally, with Chen Pao being Chen Pao and Urshifu being Scarfed. Glamora's going to swap out. Gonna be Fluttermane coming in. Booster speed Fluttermane, as we've seen. This going to be an Aqua Jet into the Flutter Mane, going to do a little under half. Sucker Punch, not gonna connect. So mostly free turn to get the Tailwind set up for Alexis. Nice move there. Ultimately gets work done. And now an awkward spot to be in if you are both these players. I was going to say if you're Shane, but both these players, to be honest. Alexis has the speed advantage by quite a big margin. If Chen Pao doesn't go for a priority like that Sucker Punch, it'll probably get knocked out by a combination of Dazzling Gleam and Bleak Wind Storm. Urshifu as well, to be totally honest, will probably drop to that. Both these Pokemon might have to switch out, but both of them get hit pretty hard by that combo of moves regardless. It's the Ogerpon in the back, and the Ogerpon can't Terra to not get hit by that. Gonna see the Terra here. Probably the Terra Fairy Flutter Mane once again, it is. Takes less damage against the Sucker Punch, should be able to take that hit. Even with the Aqua Jet starting it off. The Aqua Jet, ooh, good damage on the Aqua Jet, and the Sucker Punch actually does finish off the Flutter Mane. Just barely enough damage. And that Flutter Mane will drop, and that puts Alexis in a pretty bad spot. See the Bleak Wind from the Tornadus. This will do good damage to both these Pokemon. Urshifu nearly knocked out. Chen Pao brought down pretty low. Urshifu gets a speed drop. Doesn't matter too much right now. And now Glamora can come back in. This is a nice spot, actually, for Alexis to be in. Glamora can come back in, get the Meteor Beam down onto Chen Pao, most likely. See if the double priority move from Shane works again. Two turns of Tailwind remaining. Tornadus goes for the Sunny Day, which will weaken the Aqua Jet's power. Sucker Punch comes out. Good damage against the Glamora. Get that Toxic Debris down. It's a physical move. Actually, procs on physical moves, not contact moves. I found that out recently. Aqua Jet, super effective, not enough. And we get the second layer of Toxic Debris down. And the Meteor Beam coming out from the Glamora, going to finish off the Chen Pao. Well, this does mean the Glamora does have the I go back and forth. This will finish off the Chen Pao for sure. That's for certain. Gets it to +1 special attack. Question now. Urshifu is locked into Aqua Jet still. The problem for Alexis is that Aqua Jet will still probably be enough to finish off the Glamora, even in Sun. Not much Glamora can do about it. The final turn of Tailwind for Alexis. Lamar's going to swap out. Gambit not affected by the Toxic Debris, so it won't get poisoned by that. Chiyu going to come in now. In all 4 Pokemon now for Alexis. The Chiyu going to get hit by the Aqua Jet, not for too much damage. Tornadus gets the Bleak Wind Storm off and finishes off that Urshifu. And the Kowtow Cleave. Solid damage to the Chiyu, but not enough. Tailwind peters out, but Tornadus still up and happy, ready to get another one off. And now an awkward spot to be in for Shane. You want to terastallize both of these Pokemon to make them take less against Chiyu. There's the badly poisoned status on the Ogerpon. Means that Ogerpon's certainly on a timer for this battle, although I don't think Alexis' team is bulky enough to really stall that out. A couple protects around, but yeah, I don't think so. Does also mean Ogerpon, well, it couldn't have been burned in the first place. But it means it can't be burned by a Heat Wave. It's got a different status, but it couldn't have been burned anyway, because it's Fire type and terastallizes into a Fire type. Speaking of which, Now you see the Terra right off the bat here. Although even a single launched out Heat Wave from the Chiyu might be enough to swing this battle pretty significantly. Especially if Tornadus goes for the... You can see the Ogerpon Spiky Shield. Gamma Protect, so the double protect from Shane. If Alexis reads this and gets the Tailwind up, that'd be big. It does happen. Tornadus gets the Tailwind, Alexis gets that up. Chiyu locks itself into Heat Wave, as basically anticipated. Not going to connect with either, but now an awkward spot for Shane to be in. This Chiyu Heat Wave will do real damage. And there's only so much that can happen, although the Tornadus will have to get through the... Oh, this is a close one. This is a very close one. I believe we saw the double protect attempt there. First, we're going to see the Terra. Terra comes first. Going to be the Terra Fire Ogerpon once again. Get that boosted attack, try to run through the rest of this battle, even while taking a couple of hits. Does mean it's weak now to Earth Power from Glamora. It means it's no longer weak to the Sludge Bomb, so that's nice. Kingambit tries to go for the double protect, doesn't get it. Tornadus goes for the Bleak Wind Storm, misses Ogerpon. That was probably the priority target. Misses both targets with the Bleak Wind. Heatwave comes out. Oh, it misses the Kingambit. Ooh, a brutal miss there onto the Kingambit. Solid damage, actually, onto the Ogerpon. But a brutal miss onto that Kingambit. But the Ogerpon is poisoned. This will be an interesting endgame spot here for each of these players. Ogerpon will take a bit of damage. That is a brutal miss. Another Protect should get Ogerpon out of there. It is badly poisoned. Glamora comes back in on a sliver of HP. I think a double Protect from Alexis gets Ogerpon out of there. And it will leave one more turn of Tailwind remaining. The Tailwind won't be important once Ogerpon is down as well, as the Kingambit's just slower. But I think this is a clean double Protect for Alexis. I think. Operative word being, I think. That Ogerpon is the Protect from the Tornadus. And it is the Spiky Shield from the Glamora. So a double Protect, that should get Ogerpon out of there with a Poison. And it will leave a 2-on-1 against that Kingambit. Sun is now down. Ogerpon is also now down. Oh, Ogerpon has 2 HP remaining. I did not think it would take that. I thought Ogerpon was going to drop there, and that changes things quite a bit, in fact. As it means, well, regardless, I think Tornadus has to go for the Bleak Wind here. Has to make sure that Bleak Wind connects onto the Ogerpon. Glamora gets the double Spiky Shield, double Protect there, 1 and 3. And the Kingambit Sucker Punch isn't able to connect into the Glamora. Tornadus Bleak Wind finishes off the Ogerpon. Hold for Speed Drop on the Kingambit. That could be big. We get into a bit of a chase scenario. Tailwind is now down. Now an awkward spot to be in for this Kingambit. You go for the Sucker Punch, you risk Glamora going for another Spiky Shield and getting no damage down. You go for the Iron Head and you risk getting blown up by an Earth Power. What does Shane go for? Shane certainly in the back seat, I guess in the back seat, yeah. Alexis certainly kind of... both these players, it's going to be read base for a bit. Was going to be the Spiky Shield, does fail. Kingambit did go for the Sucker Punch. So no damage from the Kingambit that turn, and the Bleak Wind does connect for a bit of extra damage. Gotta watch on the Speed Drop, does get the Speed Drop. That's a +2 attack onto the Kingambit. Real close battle here, coming down to the wire. Kingambit can't afford an attack on the Tornadus if the Glamora attacks. Could protect. Wouldn't do too much right now, just kind of an extra turn to read options. Would also stall out. Ooh, Tornadus protected. Glamora, Spiky Shield, all 3 protects use this turn. There's actually the Kingambit's that's slowest, so it'll fail. Alright. Does Shane get the read? And does the Kingambit have enough damage to knock out the Tornadus afterwards? It's coming down to the wire here, especially with that +2 with the Bleak Wind. Spiky Shield, double Spiky Shield again from Alexis. The Bleak Wind Storm connects for a bit of damage, and the Kowtow Cleave, that makes contact for sure. I think Kowtow Cleave makes contact. It does make contact, and that puts Kingambit in 1 more Bleak Wind range. Not much of a way out of this one for Shane. Without a Bleak Wind miss, Sucker Punch connects onto the Glamora. That's going to finally pick up that knockout. But 1 more connected Bleak Wind. It's got to hit. It doesn't hit. Bleak Wind Storm misses. Another miss from the Bleak Wind, and does a Sucker Punch at +2 take down the Tornadus? Can it get the job done? There's also only 4 Sucker Punches left for this Kingambit. If Tornadus can properly stall them out, going to take the Protect on turn number 1. It's going to only 3 Sucker Punches now remaining for Shane. Does have that maxed out PP on the Sucker Punch. And Tornadus does go for the Bleak Wind. It does connect, and Alexis Harrison with the close 2-1 victory in round number 2. Usually don't get a tourney-wide round of applause after a round 2 game, but that really was some fantastic Pokemon that we got there. You can see it on both the players' faces. That was a great battle there. You can see the relief for Alexis there after that one. Really close end game there. Just great play between those 2 players. Got a really exciting set out of it. And we have 3 more rounds of just the regular stage before we even get to Top Cut. We are barely into this tournament. Don't go anywhere. We got a lot of great Pokemon left to go.